And tonight, protesters are gathered outside of police headquarters at Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. The mayor of Minneapolis, I mentioned this is sort of a Minneapolis suburb. The mayor of Minneapolis today declared a state of emergency in Minneapolis. 4 counties, including basically the whole Minneapolis and St. Paul metropolitan area, instituted a curfew tonight. People not being allowed out on the street. Major League Baseball, Major League Hockey, Major League Basketball games were all scheduled tonight in the Minneapolis metro area. All of those games have been called off, as again, most of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area is under a curfew. And of course, this is all happening where and while former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is standing trial for the alleged murder of George Floyd last year. Today was day 11 of that trial. And that trial convenes, for its 3rd week. Day 11 today, while the news of yet another unarmed black man being killed by local law enforcement in the Minneapolis area looms incredibly large over those proceedings. And it was interesting today, before the jury actually entered the courtroom today for today's trial in the Chauvin case, Derek Chauvin's defense lawyer asked the judge if he would please sequester the jury, if he would put them up in a hotel, basically, where all they can do is attend the trial. They can't see the news. They'd be isolated from anybody else talking about the trial or any related matters. Derek Chauvin's defense attorney today asked the judge to do that with the jury right now, because the jurors live in that community. He argued that the angry, aggrieved, emotional community reaction to Daunte Wright's death might spill over to this case. It might bias jurors against his client. So Chauvin's defense attorney asked for the jury to be sequestered today in light of the community reaction to the Daunte Wright killing by police. The judge denied that request. But today, the prosecution called what were expected to be their final witnesses in the case, a cardiologist testifying that in George Floyd's case, his death was not the result of a pre-existing heart condition. A use of force expert testified that no reasonable officer would consider Officer Derek Chauvin's actions that day to be an appropriate, acceptable, or reasonable use of force. But the witness who appeared to have the biggest impact today in the courtroom was Philonise Floyd, who is George Floyd's younger brother, the only member of the Floyd family to take the stand during this trial. You might remember that in the final minutes of George Floyd's life, he was heard by witnesses to cry out for his mother, who at that point had been dead for 2 years. Today, Philonise Floyd gave brief but very powerful testimony about why George Floyd might have been calling for his mother, about George Floyd's relationship with their mother.
I would see him every day, and I'd say, period. I'd say period because we called him Perry instead of George. And he would always say, hold on, let me kiss mama before I come over there. And being around him, he showed us, like, how to treat our mom and how to respect our mom. He loved her so dearly. And when George, he had found out that my mom was passing because she had to stay with us for hospice, and he was talking to her over the phone, but she perished before he even came down here. So that right there, it hurt him a lot. And when we went to the funeral, it's just, George just sat there at the casket over and over again. He would just say, mama, mama, over and over again. And I didn't know what to tell him because I was in pain too. We all were hurting. And he was just kissing her. And just kissing her. He didn't want to leave the casket. And everybody was like, come on, it's gonna be okay. But it was just difficult because I don't know who can take that when you watch your mother, somebody who loved and cherished you and nourished you for your entire life, and then they have to leave you. We all have to go through it, but it's difficult. And George, he was just in pain the entire time.
That's the younger brother of George Floyd, Philonise Floyd, testifying today in the trial over his brother's murder. Again, these were the final witnesses on the prosecution side today. The defense for Officer Derek Chauvin, who's accused of killing George Floyd, is expected to start calling its own witnesses as soon as tomorrow. Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.